it's Molly here at Elevated Mind and Movement. And today we have a practice that is focused on our Manipura Chakra, or what's called the solar plexus chakra. So the solar plexus is below the rib cage but above the navel. So kind of in this area of your midsection. You can find it if you felt like you were about to get punched in the stomach and you tighten that area right in here. That's approximately where this energy center is. So why Manipura is so important and having it balanced is so important to our mental health. The solar plexus chakra is our center. This is where our self-confidence comes from and our sense of self-agency, our self-esteem. This also is the center of our digestion. So not just about digesting food, although that's really important because that keeps us alive, but also how we digest our experiences, how we take in what the world gives us and we make sense of it. So when our solar plexus chakra is out of balance, we may notice that we try to over control things if it's in excess, because we're trying to have that self-agency, but we're trying to control the world. Or if it's deficient and it's not quite where we'd like it to be, we might have low self-esteem or imposter syndrome, believing that we're just not good enough. So we want to keep this area in balance. Now, a lot of times, if you look for yoga flows for the solar plexus chakra, a lot of them are going to focus on core work because, yes, that's where this is. And it's also our sense of fire. Digestion is burning through our food or our experiences to transform them. So getting that fire going can be really helpful. I'm going to take it in a different direction though. Today, instead of doing a lot of core work to like fire up the core, get the digestion going, what I sometimes think is more important but we overlook about our self-confidence or our sense of personal agency in the world, our ability to make things happen, is that a lot of times we're just not comfortable in our bodies. So today we're going to focus more on embodiment, being in our body and the body being a comfortable place to be. It's hard to move through the world if we don't feel good about ourselves. So today's practice is going to be about settling ourselves into our body and being able to feel comfortable there, feeling like this is home. This is my center that I work from. And if I feel secure in my center, I'm much more secure when I go out into the world. So, having said that, a few things about Manipura. Manipura is the hidden jewel. So, when we think of jewels, we think of something that is worth a lot. And so I want you to have that internal center and feel like that's really valuable. That's important. It's not something that, we can just push through and not have to deal with. It's something we really want to kind of put a premium on. So our ability to stay seated within ourselves is a very valuable jewel. Manipura is generally shown with a symbol in the color yellow. My wardrobe does not include a whole lot of yellow, so you're just going to have to pretend that I'm glowing yellow right now. So, but as we go through these practices today, if you want to kind of imagine that energy center right in that midsection, glowing, a bright yellow, like the sun, that can help kind of center you visually or, in your mind on, okay, what do I do with this center? It's there, but what does it look like? What is it doing? Just picture a glowing yellow ball of sunlight kind of pulsing in that area with your breath as we move. So, let's prepare to start our practice today. Join me down on the floor, just in easy pose, just seated right here, legs crossed. For our practice today, you will want a block. If you don't have a block, you can use a stack of books. Before we get started with our first practice, you also may want to have a Kleenex, because we're going to be breathing pretty forcefully in and out through the nose, and stuff happens. So I've got my Kleenex here. I'm going to keep that in my hand so my dog doesn't eat it. I know, you're just waiting for me to drop that. And we're going to start with a practice called Bhastrika breath. Bhastrika means bellows. So we are pumping the midsection like they're bellows. And just like a bellows that we use to fan a fire, that's kind of what we're doing here. We're going to get that heating started in the body. So how we do bellows breath is it's a deep inhale through the nose and an exhale through the nose. So it's all happening through the nose. Obviously, if you're really stuffed up and you can't breathe through the nose, you get a free pass. You can do it through the mouth. But if you can breathe through your nose, let's do that. Blow your nose first before we start if you're feeling plugged up, and have your Kleenex ready just in case your nose starts to run. So while the breath is going in and out through the nose, the bellows are really the stomach region. So when we inhale, we want to open the bellows. So the stomach expands. And when we exhale, we're closing those bellows. So we want to feel like that navel center is pulling back to the spine to push all the air out. So just putting your hands on your navel center right now, let's just try a few rounds of this and see how this feels. So on your own pace, inhale, expand the stomach. Exhale, squeeze that stomach closed so that it pushes all the air out forcefully. Okay, take a moment, pause. You may notice that your body is starting to heat up. We're fanning that flame. We're getting that Manipura solar plexus center charged up. So we're going to try another round of this. This time, if you're feeling comfortable with it and you want to speed it up, you can. If you are really comfortable just with those even breaths, stay there. One isn't better than the other. It's just sometimes your breath pattern is like, all right, let's just get going. So if you liked how we did it just a moment ago, continue with that. And if you're feeling like, okay, that was too slow for me, follow me. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. So you can have your hands on your belly again, or you can just drop them at this point. Let's take All together, a big inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose, and now continue at the pace that feels comfortable for you. Big inhale, and just release the breath. You may want to, if you sped up your breath, use your Kleenex now. Now we're gonna try it one more time. We're gonna go back to that slower, even breath, but this time we're gonna move kind of like a cat-cow. So this is where we're gonna bridge into our physical practice. So on the inhale, instead of just opening the stomach, I want you to kind of arch your back a little bit. And on your exhale, you're gonna round as you pull the stomach back to the spine. So we're doing the same breath, but we're just adding a little bit of spinal movement with it. So let's take our inhale into our cow pose and exhale into cat. Continue doing this, but I just want you to check in with your body and make sure that the movement is coming from this navel center and not from the shoulders. All right. Return to breathing normally. Release that breath. Take a moment to just sit here. Close your eyes, because if you were breathing pretty intensely, you might be feeling a little dizzy. And I just want you to focus your attention on that navel center. And just as you're focused on that navel center, repeat the affirmation to yourself: I am centered within myself. Noticing that heat that you've built in that midsection. I am centered within myself. Notice how it feels when you're not intentionally moving the breath, but you're just noticing the breath. How it just moves in and out of your body in that navel center. I am centered within myself. Open your eyes, and we're gonna come to all fours. So, wrists under your shoulders, knees under your hips, and we're just gonna continue working with that cat-cow movement, but as a traditional cat-cow. So, focusing on the breath, we're not doing that Bhastrika breath anymore. We're just breathing naturally, but still focusing on how the breath moves into the body and the stomach opens, and how as we exhale, the stomach pulls back toward the spine and tightens. So let's do a few rounds of cat-cow at your own pace. keep up with this movement. But as you're moving, allow your attention to move out of that navel center and start to embody the rest of your physical form. Notice where you're feeling the cat-cow outside of just your stomach region. Are you feeling it in the back, in the hips, across the chest, shoulders? Just notice what this movement feels like in your body. Now I want you to tuck your toes under. So if you've had the tops of your feet on the floor through that, tuck your toes under so that your feet are in a different position, and see if that changes how your cat-cow feels. Are you noticing the movement in different parts of your body? Return to a neutral spine. And now, with your toes tucked, I want you to just tighten your stomach. So tighten that core, and you're just going to lift the knees off the ground and then slowly straighten the legs, pushing the hips back into your downward dog. Now this may be your first down dog of the day. It is mine, and I'm feeling a little stiff. So notice what your body is telling you in this down dog. Mine is saying that the backs of my legs need a little more movement. So I'm just going to pedal my feet back and forth just to give a little movement to the backs of my thighs. Notice how your breath feels in this position. Feeling that sense of empowerment, I want you to feel how your arms are holding up your upper body, your legs are holding up your lower body, and all of it comes together in that navel region. And you can come back down on your knees and release that position. So now we're going to come down to our belly. And we're going to come into a Sphinx pose. So in Sphinx, lower down to your belly, and you're going to put your forearms on the floor so that your elbows are right below your shoulders. And then you're just going to press your chest up and open. And when you do this, you should feel, even though your shoulders are off the ground, your navel center is still kind of in contact with the ground. So in this position, feeling your tail lengthening down towards your feet to create length in the spine. As you inhale, I want you to feel how that navel center presses into the floor. And then as you exhale, how it gently moves away. So we're just focusing on the breath here in this position. And when we're focusing on the breath in this position, we're kind of giving that solar plexus a little bit of a massage against the floor. Since this is also a back bend, it's also opening up the front of our body. Because once we get our flame going, we want to lead with that light into the world and with whatever else we're doing. So just a couple more breaths here. Noticing how it feels as your stomach kind of rolls against the floor, giving you a little bit of a massage. And then let's just lower that down. Rest your head on the ground. And again, notice how when there's more of your weight on the ground with your chest, how does that change what your breath feels like? All right, from here, we're going to roll over onto our backs, and we're going to open up the sides of our body, because obviously our midsection doesn't just move forward and back, it also moves out to the sides as well. So we kind of want to get movement and room for movement in this whole area so that we're not gripping too much. Because when we're gripping and putting tension, we're kind of holding back that sense of living in our body. We're trying to squish ourselves into this tiny little space. You can live here, but we really want to embody our whole self. So we need to give it room. So what we're going to do now to open up the sides of our body is I want you to bring your legs over to the left side of your mat, and then you're going to take your right leg and cross it over your left. And with your upper body, you're going to reach your arms up overhead and see if you can shift toward the left a little bit so that you're kind of creating this crescent shape. And you can hold your arm, just clasping your right wrist with your left arm. And you should just kind of feel a gentle stretch along the right side of your body. Some people refer to this pose as banana asana because you look like a banana. So if that visualization helps, it is yellow, so we're kind of keeping with our solar plexus chakra by channeling that color. Take a few breaths here and really see if you can settle into the release on that right side of the body as you breathe. Often the longer we stay in a pose, the deeper we move into it. So we're just going to stay here for a little bit and allow this shape to kind of open itself. And it just feels really good. I kind of want to just stay here all day. I promise we won't, but I kind of want to. Okay, and then you can release the clasp of the arms and the cross of the legs. Kind of bring yourself back to the middle of your mat. Just take a moment to notice. Does the right side of your body feel different from your left right now? Do you notice as you inhale if one side feels more open than the other? And now let's take this to the other side. So we're going to walk our feet over to the right side of our mat, cross the left leg over the right, bring the arms up overhead, and then with your right hand you can grasp that left wrist and just create that nice banana shape over on this side. So you should be feeling the stretch now over on the left side of your body. And just settle in. It's easier to feel comfortable in our body when our body isn't holding tension and creating discomfort. So opening up the body allows us to release some of that tension and alleviate some of that discomfort, making our body a more pleasant place to live. And as you lay here, this time focus on the affirmation of, I make good choices for myself. A lot of times that's where our doubts come from, or when we question whether or not we have the power to make choices for ourselves. But you know yourself better than anybody else does. And you know that you showed up today to do this practice, to give some care to yourself. So right there, you have some proof that you do make good choices for yourself. So again, reminding yourself, I make good choices for myself. And we're going to release this side. So uncross the legs, unclasp the arms. And you want to grab your block, and we're going to do a supported bridge. So bringing your feet to the floor and your knees are bent, arms down on the floor, and you are just going to, on your inhale, start to tilt the pelvis up and roll your hips up off the ground, one vertebrae at a time. And then on your exhale, roll one vertebrae after another, bring the hips back down. So we're just going to do a couple of these to kind of loosen up that lower body. And the next time you inhale and bring the hips up, you're just going to take your block and slide it right under your sacrum. So that space right below your hips. So you don't want it on your lower, like the curve of your back. You want it right underneath your hips. And pick where it feels comfortable. So it may feel comfortable to have the block on its lowest setting, or it may feel comfortable to move it up a little bit. So we're just going to stay here for a little bit, feeling this openness. We're opening up the midsection because our flame needs some space and some oxygen. If you've ever tried building a campfire, you know that if the space is too tight and there isn't enough oxygen flowing through, the flame's not going to catch. So we want to open up this area so that there's enough room for our flame. And just settle into this position, allowing yourself to be held by the block. And repeat to yourself the affirmation, I can do anything I desire. I can do anything I desire. This is another area where a lot of times we have a hard time trusting ourselves and doubt sneaks in. We tell ourselves all the things we think we can't do, or all the reasons why we think we can't do it. And that's dousing our self-confidence. So we don't want to put that flame out. We want to build it. So as we open up and we remind ourselves, I can do anything I desire. I can do everything I desire. It's a little different. Not just that I can do anything I desire. I can also do everything. There are no limits. I make things happen. I feel a sense of control in my life. On your next inhale, we're going to lift the hips up slightly, just enough to move that block out of the way, and then slowly, vertebra by vertebra, bring the hips down. And we're just going to kind of windshield wiper the legs here a little bit. Just to release any tension that might be in the lower back. Bring the knees into the chest. We're just going to breathe here for a moment, noticing now how the breath in the midsection feels different when we've got our legs putting pressure on it, and how that's different from when it was wide open. And then we're going to take our knees and just drop them over to the left side and open our arms out to a T shape. And if it feels good, you can look over the right arm. Just twisting this area out a little bit. Twists are great because they wring out our midsection. So just like wringing out a sponge, when we squeeze it and we release everything it's holding, it has more capacity the next time we need it. So in this moment, we're wringing out maybe all of that doubt or lack of self-confidence, low self-esteem. We're wringing it out and releasing it so that we have more room to build that sense of self-confidence. Tighten the core, bring the knees back up to center, and then we're going to drop them over to the right side. Continuing to have those arms out in that T shape. And maybe tilt your head to look over your left arm now. Bringing out and releasing what you don't need so that there's more room for all the things you do want and need. Bring the knees back up to center and just place your feet on the floor. So knees are bent, feet are on the floor. And we're going to do a modified boat pose. So how we do boat is we're going to use that core. We are going to do some core work, but it's going to be easy, I promise, because I like easy things. We're going to use the core to kind of hold us. So trusting in ourselves means believing in our ability to hold and believing in our body's ability to hold us and care for us and protect us. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring the knees into the chest. We're going to tighten the stomach, and you may have done this as a kid. We're going to roll back and forth just a little bit. Give yourself a little bit of a back massage while you're doing this. And come up so that you're seated. Feet are on the floor, knees are bent. And from here, just tilt back a little bit. So you're not going way far back, you're just kind of tilting the hips a little bit. And you can hold on to your legs under your thighs or on your calves if that feels better. Or if you're feeling up for a big challenge, you can hold your arms out. And you're just tightening that core to hold you here. So just breathing. Noticing that tension building. Maybe it's even building a little bit of fire here. My inner flame burns away my fears. My inner flame burns away my fears. My inner flame burns away my fears. All right, bring yourself up to a seated position. And we're going to end today with a guided visualization. So now that we've kind of built that flame, I want you can sit comfortably, or if you would prefer, lay down. Whatever feels more comfortable in your body right now. I'm going to stay seated so you can hear me, because when I lay down, my voice disappears. But if you want to lay down, go right ahead. Settle into a comfortable position. Take a few deep breaths here. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, and let go of all that tension. So everything that we've just wrung out, all that space that we just made, inhale and open up that space, and exhale and let everything out through your mouth. And I want you to bring your attention to that navel center. That solar plexus that we've spent this practice warming up. And I want you to picture a flame in that space. So taking this moment to visualize this flame that's right in that solar plexus chakra, and it's glowing. And as you inhale and you bring in more oxygen, you open more space, that flame grows. So just keep breathing here naturally, but focusing on how every inhale, that flame grows a little bit more. And we're growing that inner fire, bigger and bigger, giving it more space. Continue picturing the flame growing with each inhale, but now with every exhale, you are noticing the warmth spreading. So the warmth from that flame, as the flame gets bigger, that warmth spreads out further and further. So right now, you're noticing that it's warming your whole midsection. And maybe now that flame and that heat is growing and it's spreading to your hips. And you're noticing that warm feeling along your hips, your lower back, your pelvis, front of your body, the back of your body. Moving up into your chest. Front of your chest, back of your chest, warming the sides of your body all along your ribs, and maybe that heat is also traveling down through your legs. Along the tops of your thighs, your hamstrings, the insides and outsides of your legs all the way to your knees. Follow that heat. Is also moving up into your shoulders, and down your arms, the fronts of your arms, the backs of your arms, your elbows. The heat is spreading out to your forearms, to your wrists, your hands, all the way to your fingertips. And in your lower body, the heat is moving from your knees down through the lower parts of your legs, your calves, your shins, your ankles, the tops of your feet, the bottoms of your feet, all of your toes, and now the heat is filling up through your neck, along through your throat. That lovely, warm, cozy feeling is moving up into your face, the back of your head, your forehead, the top of your ears, and now you've built so much light and so much warmth that it's now radiating out of you. So feeling that glow of that warmth coming out of your fingertips, out of your toes, out of the top of your head, and creating this yellow, glowing bubble all around you as you are spreading warmth and confidence and comfort in being in your own body, all around you. Feeling that bright yellow glow, warm and comforting, pulsing around you. Reminding yourself that this is your center. This is your sense of you and your ability to do anything and everything that you want. That this flame, this warmth, burns through all of your doubt and all of your fears. And that when you are in this glowing bubble, you make the best choices for yourself. You can trust yourself. You are comfortable within yourself. Take another deep breath here, enjoying this feeling of being centered in yourself. Exhale, let it out through your mouth. Gently allow your eyes to blink open and return to the room that you're in. Thank you for joining me in this practice today. Hopefully, you have stoked some of your inner fire. You feel comfortable in your body right now, and you can go forth into the rest of your day with this sense of being centered and confident. The light in me honors the light in you. Go shine your light to the world. Have a good day.